Welcome to a journey into the inner workings of the mind, a journey where intelligence is not measured by tests or speed, but by the clarity, depth, and precision of thought. In this video, we will explore the three pillars that shape every great thinker: observation, memory, and analysis. For centuries, philosophers, scholars, and scientists have discovered that intelligence is not a fixed trait. It is a skill or a practice, a way of living. Aristotle taught that careful observation leads to understanding. Cicero trained memory to preserve vast knowledge, and the Stoics reflected nightly to sharpen their insight. These methods, though ancient, remain profoundly relevant today. Throughout this documentary, we will guide your mind gently, helping you notice details most people overlook, strengthen memory with practical techniques, and develop analysis to transform information into understanding. You will learn not only how to think, but how to think clearly, calmly, and deeply. Allow yourself to settle into stillness, take a deep breath, and let your mind open. The world of intelligence awaits, step by step, observation by observation, memory by memory, analysis by analysis. This is your invitation to cultivate a sharper, wiser, and more capable mind. In the quiet stillness of the human mind, intelligence grows like a slow rising dawn, a soft glow spreading across the inner horizon. Throughout history, philosophers searched for the secret behind this inner light, from the ancient libraries of Alexandria to the peaceful gardens of Athens, where Aristotle spoke of potentiality and the unfolding of human capability. Today, we return to a simple truth that has shaped minds for thousands of years, a truth often forgotten in the noise of modern life. Intelligence is not an accident, it is a craft, and like all crafts, it can be trained. This documentary invites you to travel calmly through three pillars that shape every great thinker: memory, observation, and analysis. These are not merely skills, but states of mind or ancient disciplines that guided scholars, monks, scientists, and philosophers. Plato once hinted that intelligence is the ability to see patterns beneath appearances, while the Stoics of Rome believed that wisdom grows by observing reality exactly as it is. Their ideas echo across centuries, and today they become our roadmap. So breathe gently, and let the pace slow down, as we step into a world where intelligence is cultivated deliberately. Imagine yourself in a quiet study room, candlelight flickering on the walls, scrolls laid carefully on a table. This is your journey now, a journey to rediscover the natural strength of your mind. Suspend the noise around you, and let the narrator guide you into the foundations of mental mastery. To begin this exploration, we must understand what intelligence truly is, beyond tests, grades, or quick answers. True intelligence is a dynamic interplay between what you notice, what you remember, and how you interpret what you see. Observation feeds memory, memory fuels analysis, and analysis transforms raw information into understanding. These three forces create a cycle that elevates human thought. Imagine standing beside Leonardo da Vinci in the late 1400s, watching him observe the motion of a bird, pausing, squinting slightly, capturing each detail with absolute focus. He knew that observation is the gate through which all ideas enter. Without it, the mind starves. With it, the world reveals its hidden mechanisms. This is why intelligence begins with seeing, truly seeing. Memory takes what you observe and shapes it into lasting knowledge. Ancient Greek rhetoricians practiced the method of Loci, walking mentally through imagined buildings, placing memories like objects on shelves. They trained memory as deliberately as athletes train their bodies. Today, we rediscover that memory is not a passive container. It is an active practice. Finally, analysis is the art of transforming knowledge into insight. It is the calm, slow process used by thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius, who reviewed each event of his day, asking what it meant, what was true, and what could be improved. Analysis turns experience into wisdom. As we progress through this documentary, you will learn how to cultivate each pillar with clarity and purpose. Let us now step deeper into the ancient roots of observation. Picture yourself walking through the bustling agora of Athens around 350 BCE. Merchants call out to customers, philosophers debate beneath marble columns, birds circle above the rooftops. A young Aristotle watches quietly, taking in every sound, every pattern of movement. His teacher, Plato, once taught that the visible world is only a shadow of deeper truths. But Aristotle believed that truth begins in the senses, that careful observation is the first step toward understanding. This approach shaped Western science. The simple act of noticing, patiently, attentively, became the foundation of knowledge. Observation slows the world down. It allows the mind to become a lens, sharpening details that most people overlook. The more you see, the more material your mind has to work with. Every detail becomes a brick in the architecture of intelligence. You can practice this in your own life, gently, without pressure. When you enter a room, pause, notice the light, the textures, the arrangement of objects. When you speak with someone, observe their tone, their gestures, the rhythm of their thoughts. These practices train your mental presence, and presence is the doorway to clarity. Observation is not merely looking, it is awareness. And awareness is the beginning of mastery. Now, let us drift into the realm of memory, a skill revered across civilizations. In the monasteries of medieval Europe, monks spent long nights copying manuscripts by candlelight. To preserve sacred knowledge, they developed techniques to strengthen their memory, repeating passages aloud, associating ideas with symbols, colors, or melodies. Memory was considered a sacred duty, a bridge between generations. Meanwhile, in ancient India, the Vedas were memorized word for word by oral tradition. For centuries, entire spiritual texts lived solely in the minds of practitioners. Their accuracy was astonishing, proving that human memory, when trained, is capable of remarkable precision. The secret was repetition, association, and calm focus. These methods remain powerful today. To train your memory, you must treat it as a living garden. The more attention you give it, the more it grows. Use mental imagery. Turn concepts into pictures. Use storytelling. Link facts together. Use repetition. Let knowledge settle gently into the subconscious. Every moment you practice, your memory becomes more reliable, more vivid, more alive. A strong memory expands your intelligence, because analysis depends on the depth of what you can recall. With a cultivated memory, your mind becomes a library, ready to support every insight. Before we close this first episode, let us reflect on the harmony between these three pillars. Observation gathers the raw materials of the world. Memory preserves them, and analysis gives them meaning. Together, they form the architecture of intelligence. No philosopher, scientist, or sage in history became wise overnight. They practiced these skills deliberately, patiently, or every day. Picture yourself now in a quiet library at dusk, shelves rising high above you, pages whispering as a gentle breeze moves through the room. This atmosphere mirrors the inner stillness where intelligence grows. When you slow down, when you breathe softly, the mind becomes clear. This clarity is fertile ground for observation, memory, and analysis to flourish. You are beginning a long journey, one that echoes the curiosity of Socrates, the discipline of the Stoics, the precision of Da Vinci, and the contemplative calm of monks and scholars across millennia. Let this episode settle within you, like ink drying on a page. As we enter episode 2, let your breath slow down, and imagine yourself stepping into an ancient Japanese garden at dawn. A thin mist rises from the pond, stones rest like silent guardians, and each leaf carries a drop of morning light. This is a place designed to sharpen the senses. For centuries, Zen monks practiced watching the world without judgment, training a state of pure presence. They believed that the mind becomes intelligent when it becomes still, when it stops rushing, when it simply observes. Deep observation is not about effort, but about allowing the world to reveal itself. When you quiet the inner noise, patterns begin to appear. Movements become clearer. Emotions become easier to read. Even your own thoughts slow down, making space for awareness. In this state, intelligence expands naturally. Western philosophers like Edmund Husserl echoed this idea. He called it returning to the things themselves, observing without assumptions. Whether in a Zen monastery or a European lecture hall, the message was the same. True understanding begins with clear perception. To practice deep observation, start with the simplest act, noticing. When you walk outside, look at the colors around you, the shadows on the ground, the way people move. Noticing trains the mind to wake up. Observation becomes richer with patience. Aristotle wrote that the beginnings of wisdom are found in wonder, and wonder is born when you pause long enough to truly see. Imagine holding an object in your hand, a stone, a leaf, or a cup. Observe its weight, its temperature, the texture on its surface. This practice trains the brain to enhance sensory detail, building neural pathways that support higher thinking. Scientists today confirm what ancient monks intuited. Sustained attention strengthens cognitive networks. In your daily life, choose one moment each day to observe without distraction. It could be the steam rising from a cup of tea, or the sound of rain tapping against a window. Each moment you witness fully becomes a seed of intelligence. Now picture yourself in the Library of Alexandria, around the 2nd century BCE. Scholars from across the ancient world gather around scrolls and instruments. Among them stands Eratosthenes, the librarian who measured the earth using nothing but shadows and observation. He noticed that in the city of Scene, the sun cast no shadow at noon, while in Alexandria it did. This small detail, observed with calm precision, allowed him to calculate the Earth's circumference with stunning accuracy. This is the power of observation. A single detail, noticed by a quiet mind, can reveal universal truths. Eratosthenes reminds us that intelligence is not about knowing everything, it is about noticing the right things. Only a mind trained in stillness sees what others ignore. As you strengthen your observation, you awaken this ancient capacity. You become attentive, receptive, capable of recognizing patterns that guide better decisions. Observation does not just show you the world, it clarifies your place within it. Deep observation also includes inner observation. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his journal during the nights of his reign, often reminded himself to watch his own thoughts as if from above. He believed that wisdom grows when you observe your reactions, your emotions, your impulses, without being carried by them. This practice creates a calm intelligence, one that responds instead of reacting. Try this gently. When you feel a strong emotion, pause, breathe, and observe it like a passing cloud. Notice its shape, its intensity, its origin. This awareness creates space between you and the emotion, allowing your intelligence to guide your actions rather than habit or fear. This form of observation was also practiced in ancient Buddhist traditions, where monks learned to watch their thoughts arise and dissolve, developing clarity and compassion. The inner world, like the outer world, becomes more understandable when observed without judgment. As this episode comes to a close, let the pace settle, as if the world around you has gently lowered its volume. Observation, once a simple act of looking, has unfolded into a profound discipline. With each attentive moment, your mind becomes sharper, more awake, more capable of recognizing the quiet truths hidden behind ordinary details. Think of the sky just after sunset, when colors soften and shapes become silhouettes. In that subtle transition, the world reveals textures that daylight often overwhelms. Observation works the same way. When the mind becomes calm, it begins to notice things that were always there, small patterns, delicate shifts, connections that link one idea to another. These become the raw materials from which intelligence is built. The philosophers of the past understood this deeply. The Stoics practiced evening reflection to sharpen their judgment. The scholars of Alexandria trained their eyes like instruments. The Zen masters cultivated a gaze that absorbed detail without clinging to it. Their traditions may differ, but their message converges. Clarity begins with attentive presence. Let this thought rest gently within you. Every detail you observe becomes a piece of wisdom waiting to mature. Your intelligence expands not through pressure, but through quiet attention. When you are ready, we will continue to episode 3, where memory becomes the next pillar of your growing mental power. Memory is not a vault that stores information, but a living structure shaped by attention, emotion, and repetition. Throughout history, entire cultures survived by preserving knowledge through memory alone. In ancient India, sacred texts were transmitted orally for centuries, carried carefully in the minds of dedicated practitioners. Each verse lived in rhythm and breath, protected through disciplined recall. Their commitment reveals a timeless truth. Memory grows strongest when it is nurtured with care. To understand memory, Picture the mind as a vast landscape. Some parts are well-traveled, smooth and effortless. Others are faint, barely visible, waiting to be carved by repetition. Every time you recall something, you walk that path again, making it clearer. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient teachers intuitively knew: the brain rewires itself through use. The more you revisit an idea, the more permanent it becomes. Memory is one of the pillars of intelligence because it expands what your mind can work with. A strong memory is like an inner library, a place where facts, impressions, and stories wait patiently to be used in analysis. Tonight, we begin building that library with intention. Throughout the ancient Mediterranean, orators relied on memory to deliver long speeches without notes. The Roman statesman Cicero used a technique now known as the memory palace. He would picture a familiar building and place each idea in a different room. When he needed to recall the speech, he mentally walked through the rooms, retrieving each point with calm clarity. This method was not magic. It was discipline, imagination, and structure woven together. Even today, memory palaces remain one of the most powerful tools for strengthening recall. They work because the mind remembers images and locations more easily than abstract ideas. By linking knowledge to visual anchors, you give memory something solid to hold on to. To begin gently, choose a place you know well, or a childhood home, a favorite park, or even a street you walk daily. Place small pieces of information in different spots. As you revisit them mentally, the path becomes clearer. With time, this practice transforms scattered thoughts into ordered knowledge. Memory, when trained, becomes a dependable companion. Memory also thrives on association. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that the mind connects ideas through similarity, contrast, and sequence. When two thoughts appear together often enough, they become linked. This explains why a certain scent can suddenly bring back a childhood moment, or why a piece of music can carry you instantly to another time. You can use this natural mechanism to strengthen your intelligence. When learning something new, attach it to something you already understand. Link a concept to a story, or to an image, or to a physical action. These bonds create mental bridges that make recall smoother and more intuitive. Think of medieval monks copying manuscripts by candlelight. To preserve the meaning of every line, they sometimes added small drawings in the margins, symbols that reinforced the text. These illustrations acted as mnemonic anchors, guiding memory gently through the page. Their methods remind us that learning becomes easier when the mind is given structure and beauty to hold on to. Associations transform memory from a struggle into a rhythm. Emotion also shapes memory. The Stoics understood this, though they approached it with unusual calm. They observed that strong feelings sharpen recall, but can also distort it. Their solution was to cultivate steady emotions, neither suppressing nor exaggerating them. A balanced mind remembers more accurately. Today, psychologists agree. Information tied to meaning or personal relevance becomes easier to remember. This is why stories endure longer than isolated facts. If you want to strengthen your memory, connect information to purpose. Ask yourself, why does this matter? What does it change? How will it be used? These questions create emotional resonance, helping memory settle more deeply. To practice, take one small piece of knowledge each day and connect it to a reason. Let the reason be gentle, curiosity, usefulness, beauty, or even gratitude. In time, you will notice that your memory becomes more natural, more sensitive, more trustworthy. Emotion and memory move together, shaping the architecture of your mind. As episode 3 comes to a close, let this thought settle softly. Memory is not a talent reserved for a few, but a craft that improves with intention. Every repetition strengthens a path. Every association builds a bridge. Every moment of purpose gives knowledge a place to rest. With this understanding, your intelligence begins to rise, supported by a foundation you are actively shaping. Picture memory as a gentle archive, not rigid or cold, but warm and organized, like a library lit by soft lamps. Each idea is placed with care. Each recollection arrives without strain. This is the kind of memory that empowers analysis, creativity, and calm thinking. In the next episode, we will explore the third pillar: analysis, the skill that turns observation and memory into insight. Analysis is the quiet engine of intelligence. It is the ability to take what you observe and what you remember and transform it into understanding. Where observation gathers details and memory stores them, analysis reveals patterns, causes, and possibilities. It is the moment when information becomes meaning. Throughout history, the greatest thinkers used analysis not as a tool of pressure, but as a practice of clarity. In ancient Greece, Socrates walked through the streets of Athens asking simple questions. His method was not aggressive. It was patient, gentle, and precise. By questioning assumptions, he revealed hidden structures in ordinary ideas. His dialogues showed that analysis is not about knowing the answer, but about examining the answer you already hold. Centuries later, the scientific revolution grew from this same spirit. Thinkers like Galileo and Descartes slowed down their thoughts, breaking complex problems into smaller parts. They believed that understanding begins when you separate noise from truth. This practice remains at the heart of analytical thinking today. To begin developing your analytical mind, start with a habit of breaking things down. When you encounter a problem, pause, breathe, and separate it into simple pieces. The mind becomes clearer when it handles one fragment at a time. This mirrors the work of medieval scholars who spent hours dissecting manuscripts line by line, discovering meaning hidden inside the structure of the text. A useful technique is the 3-layer question. First, ask what is happening. Then, ask why it is happening. Finally, ask what it means. These questions direct the mind toward causes and consequences, the core of analytical thinking. You can practice this with small events in daily life. If someone speaks in a tone that surprises you, observe it, recall the context, then analyze the possibilities. This trains your mind to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. In analysis, distance creates clarity. Analytical thinking also thrives on comparison. In the ancient library of Pergamon, scholars often placed 2 scrolls side by side, reading them together to compare ideas. Through contrast, they uncovered contradictions, patterns, and deeper insights. This method still shapes modern reasoning. When you compare two ideas, your mind naturally searches for structure. You can apply this to anything you learn. Compare similar concepts, compare past experiences, compare expectations with outcomes. Each comparison reveals something new. It strengthens logic and teaches the mind to move smoothly between different perspectives. Analysis is not cold or mechanical. It is a quiet form of curiosity. It is the willingness to explore the pathways between thoughts. When comparison becomes a habit, your mind becomes more flexible, more precise, more capable of seeing the truth beneath the surface. Another pillar of strong analysis is reflection. The Stoics practiced this at the end of each day. They reviewed their decisions, emotions, and actions, not to judge themselves harshly, but to understand the causes behind them. Reflection is analysis turned inward. It reveals patterns within your own choices, patterns you can strengthen or gently reshape. To practice reflection, take a moment each evening to revisit one event from your day. Recall it without distortion, then look at it from different angles. What happened, why it happened, and what it taught you. This habit slowly illuminates your inner landscape, helping you understand how you think, not just what you think. Reflection is a conversation with yourself, calm, honest, and without haste. Each night, it sharpens the mind for the day that follows. As episode 4 concludes, think of analysis as the quiet synthesizer of your intelligence. Observation gives you detail, memory gives you material, and analysis weaves it all into insight. It is the moment when scattered pieces of experience align, forming a clear picture. Great thinkers throughout history were not defined by speed, but by depth. They took the time to examine, reflect, and understand. Analysis grows slowly, like a pattern forming in gentle waves. Every time you pause to break down a problem, every time you compare ideas, every time you reflect on a choice, you strengthen this pillar. Intelligence becomes calm, stable, and grounded. In the next episode, we will unite all three pillars: observation, memory, and analysis, to explore how they work together to shape a fully developed, powerful mind. Now that we have explored each pillar separately, we enter the deeper territory of how observation, memory, and analysis unite into a single, powerful system of intelligence. These skills do not function alone. They interlock, amplify one another, and create a cycle that transforms your mind into a clear, precise instrument. When observed carefully, this cycle resembles the ancient methods of scholars who mastered entire fields of knowledge with calm discipline. Think of a painter who studies the subtle shadows on a landscape. Observation gathers the details. Memory stores the colors, shapes, and contrasts. Analysis interprets what those details mean for composition. Without one of these pillars, the artwork collapses. But with all three, the painter creates something meaningful. Human thought works the same way. When you notice a detail, store it with intention, and examine it with curiosity, you generate insight. This process has shaped the evolution of philosophy and science. The Stoics observed their reactions, remembered patterns, and analyzed them to refine their character. Renaissance scholars studied nature carefully, memorized structures, and dissected patterns to reveal new knowledge. When these pillars operate together, intelligence becomes more than a skill. It becomes a way of living, a quiet commitment to understanding. To see how the pillars interact, consider a simple everyday moment, such as noticing someone's expression during a conversation. Observation captures the subtle change in their eyes or the tone of their voice. Memory retrieves past experiences with similar expressions, giving you context. Analysis then helps you interpret what might be happening emotionally or socially. This sequence occurs in seconds, yet it shapes your decisions, your empathy, and your understanding of others. The mind becomes more aware, more grounded, and more capable of responding with clarity. In the ancient world, philosophers used this exact triad. Seneca encouraged his students to observe human behavior, recall past lessons, and analyze situations to respond wisely. Confucian scholars in China practiced careful observation of social roles, memorized teachings, and interpreted them in daily interactions. Across cultures, the process remained the same, proving that intelligence is universal when cultivated intentionally. The more you practice this integration, the more natural it becomes. The pillars stop feeling like techniques and start functioning as instincts. There is also a rhythm to the three pillars. Observation acts as the gateway, opening your senses to the world. Memory acts as the archive, storing impressions and experiences. Analysis acts as the interpreter, transforming knowledge into usable insight. Together, they form a cycle that repeats every day, shaping your mental landscape. When you strengthen observation, you collect richer material for memory. When memory is trained, analysis works effortlessly with reliable information. When analysis becomes sharp, it guides future observation toward what truly matters. Over time, each pillar begins feeding the others, creating a gentle but powerful upward spiral. This spiral was central to the teachings of the medieval universities. Students were taught to observe texts, memorize key passages, and analyze meaning through debate and reflection. Their minds evolved through repetition of this cycle. The same process applies to modern learning. When you study a subject, take the time to observe carefully, reinforce with memory, and then explore the deeper logic beneath it. This turns knowledge into mastery. To practice the integration of these pillars, choose a simple daily exercise. At the end of each day, select one meaningful moment and walk through the 3 steps. First, recall what you observed. Not just what happened, but what you truly noticed. Then, reflect on what you remember from past experiences that relate to that moment. Finally, analyze its meaning. What does it reveal about you, about others, or about the situation itself? This exercise is calm, gentle, and highly transformative. It mirrors the evening practices of Stoics, monks, and scholars across centuries. Over time, this habit sharpens perception, strengthens memory pathways, and deepens understanding. Even small events take on new clarity when processed through this triad. You begin to move through life with quiet awareness. You see patterns sooner. You respond more thoughtfully. You understand situations that once felt confusing. The pillars merge into a natural rhythm of intelligence. Not rushed, not forced, simply steady and alive. As our journey comes to a close, take a moment to let the ideas settle. The pillars of intelligence, observation, memory, and analysis are now no longer abstract. They are tools you can practice, refine, and integrate into your daily life. Remember, every detail you notice, every memory you strengthen, or every insight you analyze adds to the quiet architecture of your mind. Ancient philosophers, scientists, and thinkers knew this truth. And now, you have begun walking the same path. Let this calm awareness stay with you as you move through your day or as you rest and reflect tonight. Your mind grows sharper, more attentive, more capable, not through force or speed, but through steady, intentional practice. If this journey has inspired you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Join our community of minds exploring philosophy, intelligence, and the art of thinking deeply. And remember, intelligence is a skill you cultivate, one observation, one memory, one insight at a time. Thank you for watching, and may your mind continue to grow in clarity, calm, and wisdom.